Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Jamie TV, broadcasting from Starbucks Studios today. Today I'm going to be recording a new instrumental track, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to stick the camera on and let's see if we can capture something interesting. What I'm hoping to get out of today is a bass groove driven track. Maybe something you could dance to, perhaps, mid-pace, maybe a blend of electronic and old school real instruments. But nothing is pre-written, I've got no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just going to open up Ruse Maker on my iPad and just program in a real simple beat and have a jam on the bass. Let's see where we go from there. The initial patch that you get when you open up Ruse Maker is not too far from what I need. I'm just going to click on OH to the right, the pad for the open hat, turn up the beat style to 2, and then shift to take those beats on top of the snares. Now I'm clicking on CH for closed hat, and I'm changing the beat style to 7. This puts a little skip at the beginning of the beat that I think might suit the kind of groove I'm looking for. Double clicking on the pad will mute that particular instrument and highlight it red. I'm now going to press the bass drum, and now I can use the second row of dials from the top to tweak the sound of the kick. This will work for any of the component parts of the drum kit. Just press the pad for the instrument you want to change and tweak away. The row of dials at the top of the drum machine, of course, are global effects. Now I'll double press on the bass drum pad, mute that, and let's have a listen to the snare. Now I want this to really bite, so let's have a mess around with the dials here, see what we can come up with. Notice that when I select one of the drums with the pads to the right, Ruse Maker highlights the instrument that you're working on with a line within the Euclidean MIDI sequencer window, just to give you some visual confirmation that you're working on the instrument that you want to be. Now let's turn up this delay sound, add a few echoes to this snare, and we'll unmute everything now. Let's hear the groove in full. Now here's a really important bit of Ruse Maker advice. If you've just been working with a drum kit that you've created and a sequence that you've created and you don't want to lose either thing, you have to save them separately. The folders at the top of the drum machine, up there you can save the drum kit. With the folders to the bottom left, you save the sequence you've just been working on. Now I'm going to click the folder to the bottom left, export, pattern as MIDI, and now I can save that sequence to somewhere sensible, hopefully, in case I want to use it in a DAW later. Okay, so I have the drum loop to work with now, but before I go any further, I need to change these strings. If I'm going to record bass, I like to have that nice, clean, fresh string sound. So I'm going to stick a pack of these Rotor Sound Nexus strings on. These things have the sound of the Rotor Sound Swing Bass series, but they're coated so they'll last an awful lot longer. They cost a little more, but they'll last that much longer that it does work out a very sensible saving. I've been a Rotor Sound endorsee now for over 10 years, and I'm consistently impressed by the quality of the product. But also they're a really nice company to work with, which for me is very, very important. This bass I'm going to use is a prototype bass that I made for John on Biscues. It's made out of a vintage VJ74 bass. It features twin outputs and 3 pickups, and it's, we call it the super bass because it really is something a bit special. They haven't put it into production yet, but I keep pestering. And also on this bass I have a brand new strap. This is a beautiful thing made by Kilner Straps, who you will find on Facebook. Check out the Facebook page. It's Kilner with a double L. check out the Facebook page, have a look what they've got, and if you like what you see, you can order directly from the page. I just have to say at this point that I was going to record this track in GarageBand because I've never really got along with the app very well. In fact, I've not really used it for about 4 years since I first got my iPad. But I just think it might make a funny video, you know, like me struggling to record a track in an app I'm not particularly keen on. But it just drove me mental, so I'm opening Auria Pro. Okay, second icon in, top left hand side, we go to the timeline, and in the top left hand little window we just click and change the tempo to the tempo I was using when I was creating the loop. Up to menu, and we'll go to add track. We want one MIDI track, which it's labelled track 1. That will be significant in a moment. Let's go to menu and import file. It takes us to Auria Pro's filing system, where if I click top right, we can go straight to my Dropbox, find my Rusemaker folder, where I moved my Pond Life MIDI groove to because I fell out with GarageBand. And there, look, you see it drops the MIDI part straight into the track that we created and renames it after the file name of the MIDI part. We can then go to the drop down list in the little window under the effects button and select the audio unit that we want, which of course is Rusemaker. And don't forget to go to the folder at the top of Rusemaker and select the drum kit that you want. Now I'm just re-engineering something here so I can show you how to do it. I've been jamming along with this drum groove and I've decided I want it a little quicker. So I click in the window top left hand side and change the BPM from 86 to 103 beats per minute and enter on that. My right locator now needs correcting, so we press down on it, drag it across, and let's have a listen to that drum loop. I've decided to record both outputs from my bass, so I'm going to go up to menu and add track, and we want one mono audio track, and we are going to change the colour to a slightly different shade of purple from the bass track I already added. Go to the mixer, and at the bottom of the channel strip, if we double click, we can rename that track imaginatively Bass 2. Now the iTrack dock provides me with 2 separate inputs. So what I need to do is at the top of the channel strips, I need to make sure that in the little input windows, I've got one channel set to input 1 and one to input 2. And then all we need to do is press the little record buttons to arm the tracks. Alright, so not a perfect playthrough, but I was pretty happy to get a bass line like that down first time. It was just like the notes were right, but it was a bit messy, a bit ratty. But it'll do. I'll save that for now as a guide, because the way I tend to work when I work on this kind of music, I write it as I go within the digital audio workstation. So maybe, you know, several times through this I'll put down a bass part or a part on whatever instrument as I come up with it, and then when I know exactly what I want for the whole thing, I'll go back and I'll re-record the whole thing nicely and take a bit of time over it. But what I think I need for now is I need to bring another instrument in, because that bass line, it's got a melody of its own which I like, but I guess you could say it's kind of busy. So I think I'm going to drop in maybe some piano behind it, and then perhaps after it or in the next section the piano might take over more as the I don't know, it may take over more and the bass become a bit simpler. I'm not sure, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and disarm these bass tracks for now, and I don't need multi-select flashing, take that off. Right, go to menu add track. I want one MIDI track, okay. I don't want it to be yellow, but sadly Auria Pro doesn't give me the choice of white, which is the colour I've always used for piano. Cubase 2 doesn't either. So piano's going to have to be green, which is completely unacceptable. Go to a mixer, I type in piano because I do. I've forgotten how to type and how to spell. I do like to label things. Right, so, we'll go back here. Now, I have my M-Audio key station plugged into the iTrack dock, so I should now automatically have Lyra's grand piano sound. That's there, all right, but I don't want that. What I'm going to do, I'll press effects here, and if I click on here, where you can see Lyra's stereo grand is featured, I'm going to go down this drop down list to audio units, and I'm going to go gospel musicians neo soul keys. There we are. All right, I'll drag that up, stretch it out a bit. Okay, now we should have a nice suitcase sound. Alright, so I'm going to have a little mess around with sounds and pick something, and then I'm going to learn how to play these chords on the keyboard, and let's see what I can come up with next. Right, it has to be said, I am not a keyboard player. I can play keyboards and I can play these chords, but just I've been practicing them and I am not good enough at playing them to record them, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the basic triad of each chord, and then in the MIDI editing I'm going to add on the extra notes, the jazz chord notes. So yeah, a bit of a cop out, but I normally play things with strings. I should have listened when my mum was trying to teach me the piano, but guitar always seemed much more sexy, you know. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to arm this piano track and press record and hope for the best. See the MIDI's gone in there, look. That should do us, because the second half is just a repeat of the same 5 chords, right? So into the MIDI editing. Now we can see here in this unsuitably green bar that the MIDI notes have gone in. So if I now just go into the MIDI editor with a double tap. Now, let's see. Now these notes in here are not going to correspond with the chords I've told you that I'm playing, because I tune my bass to E flat. So I've got my M-Audio key station transposed down a semitone. So it just makes things even more confusing. And what I'm going to do, first job is I'm going to take off this bars and change, instead of snap to bar, we'll snap to, say, half beat. I think that'll work for now. And now to add the 2 notes I need, I'm going to need to add an F sharp and an A to this first chord. So I'm just going to tap by F sharp, and it's gone to completely the wrong place. I did not expect that. A, right. We'll just move this F sharp. Okay. D and F sharp now. So D and F sharp. So it's going to be F sharp and A again here. And then moving across, we've got E and G. And finally A and C sharp. There. Okay. Right, now then, let's see. Let's tidy up this MIDI a little bit. I'm going to select, tap multi-select, grab these 4 notes. Let's zoom in a little bit and drag those out to fill up the bar a bit better. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just tap on the screen to deselect those. I've still got multi-select on, and now we'll lengthen these 6 notes, just sort of almost to the end of the bar like that. And then let's tidy up the other notes. So I'm going to select yeah, let's have multi-select on. Grab these 3. Drag, oh, got a bit carried away with that one, I think. And these 3. Maybe we can do all 6 of these. Maybe not, that looks a bit. I want to unselect those 3, drag those back a bit, that's better. Okay, right now, that's the part looking a whole lot fuller. Tip multi-select off, while I remember. Press select all, and we'll go to process and quantize, which I've got set to 16 note, which has not entirely worked totally brilliantly for me. So let's try a different maybe I should have pressed undo before doing that. Try it again. Quanta. What did I do? I pressed the wrong thing. Okay. Quantize. 8 now. Okay, there we are. Alright, that's looking much tidier and much fuller. Now I'm going to, I've just remembered that this last chord on the second time through the chords, I changed this C minor 9 to a C major 9. So what I'm going to do to tidy up this piece of MIDI here, I'll just drag in the handles from each side, select it and go to edit and duplicate, and then we need to go in and change a couple of notes here. So it's the 3rd will now be a semitone sharper, and the 7, what did I do there? Hang on a minute. There. The 7 will now also be sharper because it's a major 7. Now, as much as I'm loving Auria Pro in many ways, I don't think the MIDI editor is the best one, but I don't use I don't use MIDI a massive amount, as you can probably tell. I'm more of a real audio, things with strings kind of a guy. But that should I spent so much time in Cubase's too that I'm confusing the controls between the two things, so please forgive me. Oh yeah, let's just go take that back to bars and let me just get my... There. Okay, let's play that, see what that sounds like. Okay, not so bad for a non-keyboard playing type dude. Now I'm going to have a little jam and see what I can come up with for the next bit. Right, what I'm going to try next with this project is I'm going to click on multi-select and tap on these 2 piano parts. Go to Edit, Duplicate and copy them across. So I've got the exact same piano part repeating for the next 8 bars. And I'm also going to take off multi-select and just tap on the screen to deselect those. Okay, and I'm also going to need to copy this drum part across there. Right, okay, so that gives me another 8 bars to play with. Right, so the plan now is to play 8 bars of low down bass, keep it moving around, keep it groovy, but keep away from the dusty end and keep out of trouble. And then I'm going to see if I can put some funky guitar over that. Trying to figure out a guitar part like that, this kind of like a clean, chippy choppy kind of a dance track, sort of a guitar part. I've kind of over the years have developed not a set way of doing things, because there should never be that in music, but kind of as a rough guide, what I do is, especially if the chords are quite complicated like in this one, I will write down each individual note included in the chords, and then I'll look for common notes, and in fact in this case I've written down the common notes so that I could play sort of part chords. I can see what little shape I might be able to play in one chord and carry it through into the next, or maybe just change one note, that kind of thing. And I think works quite well for this one. It's just a guide, just a thought, just an idea. Okay, so to stop this from becoming the longest video in the world, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch the camera off. I'm going to get my head down and get some more parts recorded, because I'm only going to be repeating the same processes as I've already shown you, and I'll revisit the video inside of this when I've got some new stuff to show you. think I got down most of the audio that I wanted to record. I can't promise that there won't be a couple of bits that I might want to add or change, but for now I need to take a break because I've got to tidy up in here. I've got some students coming around for some guitar lessons shortly, and I need to eat some food. So there will be a day 2, which will be coming back to listen with fresh ears and editing, mixing and mastering.